well-established rich coming right back at you. Today's conversation ain't easy. It ain't comfortable, and it ain't meant to be. This is one of those conversations where you can feel two things at once and still be right. I'm talking about LeBron James, Nike, and the MLK Day sneaker that has everybody arguing about intent, memory, and respect. On MLK Day, January 19th, Nike released a LeBron colorway inspired by the colors of the Lorraine Motel, the same place where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 1968, the same building that now houses a civil rights museum. And almost immediately, people lost their damn mind.
Yo, this is insane. Nike has some explaining to do. So Nike and LeBron are dropping a new colorway for the LeBron 23. This colorway is called Honor the King. This shoe is dedicated to Martin Luther King and it is supposed to be dropping on MLK Day, but here's the problem. This colorway is dedicated to the hotel that MLK was assassinated at. That's insane. So in case you were wondering why the shoe is this tealish color, no, it's not the Statue of Liberty, it's where he got murdered at. And I hate to admit that the shoe itself is really cool. I'm just more amazed that Nike approved this. All they had to do is just change the color of the sneaker and people will still buy it, but we're sending the wrong message with this. Let me know how y'all feel about this very controversial shoe. No way Nike releases this, right?
Words like disgraceful, tasteless, capitalism on a murder scene. And I understand why this hit a nerve. I really do. Because when you hear the place where Dr. King was killed, that makes your chest tighten. That location is sacred. It holds pain, it holds trauma. And people start asking questions, real questions. Why turn that into a product? Why put a price tag on a memory? Why wear a sight of death on your feet? Those are fair questions. But here's where I slow the conversation down. Because we do this all the time. We just don't always like the mirror when it's held up. Let me ask y'all something without trying to provoke you. Why do millions of people wear a cross around their neck? The cross is not a symbol of peace. It's a symbol of execution, of torture, of the most violent death imaginable. And yet, Christians wear it every day. Not to celebrate the killing, but to honor the sacrifice, to remember the cost, to keep the story alive. We don't wear it because of the wood. We wear it because of the meaning. So when people say, how dare you honor the place where King was killed? My question is, what's the difference between honoring that and honoring the cross? Now I know some of y'all gonna say, that's no comparison. But I'm not comparing the men. I'm comparing the logic. We have memorials built all over this country on sites of death. People leave flowers, teddy bears, and candles on corners where people got shot. We stand in places where humanity failed and say never again. That's not celebration. That's remembrance. And I think this is where the conversation got lost. People heard shoe and stopped thinking. They saw Nike and assumed greed. They saw $210 and thought this was a cash grab. But let me say this clear. I do not believe LeBron James woke up one morning and said, let me profit off Dr. King's death. That does not track with who he has been for decades. You can criticize LeBron for a lot of things. Silence here, choices there, but questioning his heart on this, I don't see it. More than likely, this idea was presented to him as a form of honor, as a way to connect history, a place, and a moment. And yes, he also scored 51 points in Memphis. But that's not the center of this. The center is memory. Now, should Nike have explained where the money was going? Absolutely. Should there have been a clear tie to the civil rights movement? Yes. Should more black voices have been in the room to say this might hit different? 100%. That criticism is valid. But what I refuse to do is call this disgraceful, evil, or malicious. Intent matters. And I believe the intent here was remembrance, not mockery. We quick to assign malice when sometimes the issue is execution. That's a big difference. This is a conversation about how we honor history in the capitalistic world, not about disrespecting Dr. King. And if we gonna be honest, the man himself was criticized in his own time for how he chose to protest, for how he chose to speak. History has a way of being uncomfortable in real time. And this moment is uncomfortable. But uncomfortable don't automatically mean wrong. It means we need to think. And it means we need to ask what remembrance looks like in 2026. Because eras change, methods change, but memory still matters. And I'm not trying to crucify a man for trying to honor a giant of our history, not without looking at ourselves first. Now let's go deeper, because this is the part where context matters more than reactions. See, a lot of anger around LeBron James and this MLK shoe is really about distrust, not just the corporations, but intent. People are tired of seeing black pain turned into products, tired of seeing our history packaged, priced, and sold back to us with no transparency. And that frustration is real. When David Dennis Jr. called this move disgraceful, what he really was saying was, we've seen this movie before. Where does the money go? Who benefits? Who signed off? Those questions should be asked. But here's where this conversation slipped from critique to character assassination. Because somehow LeBron went from questionable decision to morally bankrupt. And that's not fair. You can disagree with a move without destroying the person. This was not a sneaker celebrating violence. This was a sneaker referencing a place that has been turned into a memorial. The Lorraine Motel is not a crime scene anymore. It is a museum, a place people visit to learn, to reflect, and to feel. We sell tickets to it. We sell books about it. We sell postcards in gift shops. No one calls that exploitation. Why? Because intent and presentation matter. And here's the hard truth. We live in a capitalist system where almost everything touches money. Museums need funding, education needs funding, preservation needs funding. The real problem is not that money was involved. It's that people don't know where it's going. Nike could have solved a lot of this with clarity, a statement, a commitment, a partnership with a museum. That's on them. But to act like LeBron James is somehow mocking Dr. King's death, that feels like misdirected anger. And then the conversation got even uglier. People started bringing up unrelated issues, China, politics, old comments. That's when you knew this ain't about a shoe no more. This is about how people feel about LeBron, period. And that's dangerous because when we stop judging actions and start judging people as symbols, we lose nuance. LeBron is not perfect and neither is Nike. But we have to ask ourselves a serious question. Do we want people to stop trying to honor Black history because they're afraid of getting destroyed? Or do we want better execution, better transparency, and better conversations? Because those are not the same thing. If we attack every imperfect attempt at remembrance, eventually people will just stop trying. And that does not help the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. His life was about progress through discomfort, about forcing people to think when it would have been easier to stay quiet. This moment is uncomfortable, and that's good. Uncomfortable means we actually talking about how to honor our history in real time, not just quoting speeches once a year. The question is not, should this shoe exist? The question is, how do we do this better next time? With more Black voices in the room, with clear purpose, with respect that is seen, not assumed, and most importantly, with a conversation that doesn't tear down one of our own for trying and maybe misstepping. We can hold people accountable without burning them at the stake. And that balance is what this moment is really testing. The real question is, what does honor look like in a world that actually sells everything? And that question don't have a clear answer. We live in a country where history is monetized every day. We sell books about pain. We sell movies about pain. We sell documentaries, museum tickets. And yet, when a sneaker comes in the chat, suddenly everybody wants absolute purity. That's not how this world works. Now, could Nike have handled this better? Yes. But what I won't do is turn this into an execution of LeBron James' character. I do not believe his intent was to disrespect. I believe his intent was remembrance. And there's a difference between misstep and malice. We gotta stop acting like every imperfect move is a sign of hatred. Sometimes it's just a human decision made inside of a massive machine that didn't think it all the way through. And here's the part that matters most to me. The Lorraine Motel is not just where Dr. Martin Luther King died. It's where his legacy was frozen in time, where the cost of change became impossible to ignore. We don't remember that place to glorify death. We remember it so we don't forget what courage costs. And that's why I keep coming back to the cross. People don't wear it because they love the execution. They wear it because they honor the sacrifice. Memory is complicated. Symbols are complicated. And if we're going to be serious, we need to allow room for those complications without straight up destroying each other. We can say this could have been done better without saying you a terrible person. We can demand transparency without assuming evil. And we can protect Dr. King's legacy without turning it into a weapon against our own people. Because here's the truth. Dr. King didn't die for us to argue about shoes. He died so we could keep having hard conversations without losing our humanity. And if this moment made us talk about how we honor our history, who gets a say, and how capitalism touches everything, then maybe, as uncomfortable as it was, it did its job. We don't have to agree, but we do have to think. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Established Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.